The truth just dropped, and it's messier than anyone imagined. For weeks, the internet has been buzzing with whispers, side comments, cryptic captions, subtle shade that didn't quite make sense. Fans knew something was off, but nobody had proof. Nobody had confirmation. Until now. Because Teyana Taylor has finally spoken, and what she revealed didn't just answer questions. It created a storm nobody can control. This isn't just a story about cheating. This is betrayal at a level that feels calculated. Planned. Hidden in plain sight. According to what's now coming out, there were signs all along: late-night absences, strange behavior, conversations that didn't add up. But what nobody expected: the possibility that this wasn't a one-time mistake. It was something ongoing. Something deeper. And now, pieces of that hidden story are starting to surface. Leaked messages are circulating, screenshots that fans are breaking down second by second. A voice note has surfaced that sounds too real to ignore. And one line from that recording has the entire internet frozen. "She's not supposed to find out like this." That sentence alone has turned everything upside down. Because now the question isn't just what happened. It's who knew. And how long they knew it. But the biggest shock: Teyana didn't stay quiet. She didn't hold back. When she finally spoke, inside say the room went completely silent, because of the way she told her story. It didn't sound like speculation. It sounded like confirmation. And now, everything is unraveling. It didn't start with a confession. It started with a feeling. The kind of feeling you can't explain, but can't ignore either. Subtle at first. Almost easy to brush off. A delayed reply here. A cancelled plan there. A shift in energy that didn't match the words being said. And according to insiders close to Teyana Taylor, that feeling had been building for longer than anyone realized. Because on the outside, everything looked normal. Appearances were made. Smiles were exchanged. Public moments still painted the picture of a relationship that hadn't cracked. But behind the scenes, something wasn't lining up. And Teyana felt it. At first, she didn't react. Sources say she observed. Watched. Paid attention to the small things most people overlook. Patterns. Timing. The way conversations suddenly became shorter. The way certain questions stopped getting clear answers. And then came the first real red flag. A message. Not one sent to her, but one she wasn't supposed to see. According to an insider, it appeared accidentally. A notification that popped up at the wrong time. A screen that stayed open just long enough for a name to be noticed. Nothing explicit. Nothing undeniable. But enough. Enough to plant a seed that couldn't be ignored anymore. And that's when everything shifted. Because instead of confronting it immediately, Teyana started digging. Quietly. Carefully. She didn't want assumptions. She wanted proof. And what she found? It didn't come all at once. It came in pieces. A late-night call that didn't make sense. A location that didn't match the story she was told. A conversation that felt rehearsed instead of real. And with every new detail, the picture became harder to deny. But the moment that changed everything. It wasn't a message. It wasn't a call. It was a recording. Nobody knows exactly how it surfaced, but sources claim it was sent anonymously, no name, no explanation, just a file. And when Teyana played it, everything stopped. The voice in the clip sounded familiar. Too familiar. Calm. Casual. Like nothing was wrong. But the words. They don't need to know everything. That line hit harder than anything else. Because it wasn't just about hiding something. It was about deciding what someone deserved to know. And in that moment, everything clicked. According to insiders, that's when Teyana stopped questioning it. Because now, it wasn't a feeling anymore. It was a reality. And still, she didn't explode. Not yet. Instead, she waited. Because she needed one thing before she made a move. Confirmation. Not suspicion. Not interpretation. Proof. And somehow, she got it. Another leak surfaced days later. This time, it wasn't audio. It was screenshots. A conversation thread that looked ordinary at first glance, but once people started reading closely, the tone changed completely. The timestamps. The consistency. The way certain phrases repeated. It suggested something ongoing. Something that hadn't just happened once. And buried in that thread was a line that changed everything. She's starting to notice. That sentence didn't just confirm suspicion. It confirmed awareness. Which meant whatever was happening, it had been going on long enough to become a risk. And that's when the confrontation happened. Not loud. Not public. But intense. Sources say it took place behind closed doors, just the two of them. No cameras. No interruptions. Just questions that had been building for weeks finally being asked out loud. At first, the responses were calm. Controlled. But that calm didn't last. Because every answer led to another question. Every explanation felt incomplete. And at some point, the tone shifted. Voices raised. Frustration broke through. And then came the moment that insiders say changed everything. Because Teyana didn't just ask. She presented what she had. The message. The recording. The screenshots. All of it. And for a second, just a second, there was silence. Not denial. Not anger. Just silence. And that silence. It said everything. Because according to sources, it wasn't followed by a clear explanation. It was followed by something else. Deflection. Half answers. Attempts to shift the focus instead of addressing the truth directly. And that's when emotions took over. Not just frustration. Not just anger. But something deeper. Disappointment. The kind that hits when something you trusted starts to feel unfamiliar. And in that moment, everything that had been hidden came into the light. But here's where it gets more complicated. Because while all of this was happening behind closed doors, nobody outside knew. No statements. No posts. No signs. Just silence. And that silence, it created space. Space for rumors. Space for speculation. Space for the story to start writing itself before the truth was even told. Because not long after that confrontation, the first whispers started online. Subtle at first. A comment here. A vague post there. Nothing direct. But enough to make people start asking questions. And once those questions started, they didn't stop. Because then came the clip. Short. Unclear. But explosive. A voice, believed to be connected to the situation, speaking in a tone that didn't match the calm public image everyone was used to. We just need to keep this contained. That line spread instantly. Because now, it wasn't just about whether something happened. It was about whether it was being hidden. And as the internet started connecting dots, the pressure built. Fans demanded answers. Old interviews got pulled up. Moments that once seemed normal suddenly looked suspicious. And right in the middle of all that chaos, Teyana Taylor stayed silent. No reactions. No clarifications. Nothing. And that silence, it wasn't weakness. According to insiders, it was strategy. Because while the world was guessing, she already knew. And she wasn't done. Because what nobody realized at the time was that she had one more piece. One more detail. Something she hadn't revealed yet. Something that didn't just confirm everything. It explained it. And when that piece finally surfaces, it's going to change the entire story. Because this isn't just about what happened. It's about why it happened. And who else knew about it. And if that part comes out, then this situation isn't just messy. It's something much bigger than anyone expected. That missing piece didn't stay hidden for long. Because just when it seemed like the situation couldn't get any more intense, it did. And this time, it didn't come quietly. It exploded. Late that night, when most people thought the drama had settled into speculation and silence, a new file started circulating. Not in public at first. Not on the big pages. It moved privately, group chats, closed circles, people who weren't supposed to have it, but somehow did. And once it leaked out, there was no containing it. It was a video. Short. Barely 30 seconds. Grainy. Shot from a distance like whoever recorded it wasn't supposed to be there. But the voices. Clear enough. And once people realized who they were hearing, everything changed. Because it wasn't just one voice. It was two. One believed to be connected to Teyana's husband, and another that fans had already been speculating about for days. The conversation wasn't loud. It wasn't chaotic. It was calm. Too calm. Like two people discussing something they thought was completely under control. We just need to move smarter, one voice said. And the response. I told you, she's not going to stay quiet forever. That was it. But it was enough. Because now, everything shifted from suspicion to something that felt planned. Calculated. And suddenly, the timeline people had been piecing together started to look very different. Because if that conversation was real, if it happened when people think it did, then this wasn't just something that happened recently. It had been going on. And Teyana. She saw it. According to insiders, that video was the final confirmation she needed. Not because it revealed something completely new, but because it connected everything she had already discovered. The messages. The recording. The behavior. It all lined up. And that's when she made her decision. Because up until that moment, she had stayed quiet. Watched. Waited. But now, she was ready to speak. And when she did, it wasn't subtle. It wasn't controlled. It was direct. The statement dropped without warning. No teaser. No build-up. Just a post that appeared suddenly, and within seconds, it was everywhere. People screenshot it before they even finished reading it. Blogs reposted it instantly. Fans froze mid-scroll trying to process what they were seeing. Because the tone. It wasn't vague. It wasn't cryptic. It was clear. I stayed silent out of respect, but don't mistake that for not knowing. That first line alone sent shockwaves across the internet. Because now, she wasn't just reacting. She was confirming. And it only got heavier from there. There are things I found out that nobody prepared me for, and I'm still processing how deep this really goes. That sentence hit like a punch. Because it suggested layers. More than what had already leaked. More than what people thought they understood. And then came the part that changed everything. I was lied to. Repeatedly. No names. But no confusion either. Because now, it wasn't just about suspicion. It was about betrayal. And the internet. It lost control. Within minutes, every platform turned into chaos. Fans picking sides. Some defending her, saying she had every right to speak out. Others questioning why she waited, why she didn't say something sooner. But then, reactions from other celebrities started pouring in. Subtle at first. A repost here. A comment there. But the tone. It leaned one way. Support. One public figure wrote, "Protect your peace no matter what it costs." Another posted, "Truth always finds its way out." Fans immediately connected it to Teyana's statement, amplifying the situation even more. And while all of this was happening publicly, behind the scenes, things were getting even more intense. Because according to sources, that statement didn't just land online. It landed directly where it needed to. And the reaction? Explosive. Another confrontation. This time louder. More emotional. Because now, everything was out in the open. There was no denying it. No pretending things were fine. And insiders claim this moment was different from the first one. Because this time, Teyana wasn't asking questions. She was making statements. Calling out inconsistencies. Pointing out timelines that didn't make sense. And every time she spoke, the room got quieter. Because now, she had everything. Or at least, enough. And that's when something unexpected happened. Instead of pushing back. Instead of denying everything. There was a shift. A moment where the energy changed. Where the tone went from defensive to something else. Something almost like damage control. According to insiders, there were attempts to explain. To reframe. To soften what had already been revealed. But it didn't land. Because at that point, it was too late. The damage was already done. And Teyana knew it. But here's where everything takes another turn. Because just when it seemed like she had said everything she needed to say, another leak surfaced. This one different. Not messages. Not video. Audio. Longer than anything before it. Clearer. More detailed. And in it, a conversation that doesn't just confirm what happened. It suggests something else. Something bigger. Because halfway through the recording, a line is heard that has now become the center of everything. She wasn't supposed to find out this way. It could have been handled differently. That sentence raised more questions than answers. Because it implies planning. Intent. A situation that wasn't just accidental, but managed. And now, people are asking the one question nobody can answer yet. What exactly was being handled? Because if there's more to this, if there's something deeper that hasn't come out yet, then everything we've seen so far is only the surface. And the scariest part, Teyana has heard that audio. Which means whatever she says next isn't going to be emotional. It's going to be calculated. And if she decides to reveal everything she knows, then this situation won't just stay online. It will explode in a way nobody can control. By the time that final audio made its way into the public, the situation was already out of control. But what it revealed pushed everything past the point of no return. Because this wasn't a short clip. This wasn't something you could brush off as taken out of context. It was long. Clear. and layered with details that people weren't ready to hear. The voices in it. Calm. Too calm. Like whatever had been happening wasn't new, it was understood. And that's what made it dangerous. Because halfway through the recording, something was said that changed the entire narrative in an instant. We just needed more time, before everything came out. That line didn't just confirm betrayal. It suggested strategy. Planning. A timeline that didn't match the version of events people had been told publicly. And once that audio spread, the internet didn't just react, it fractured. Fans who had been defending one side suddenly went quiet. Others doubled down, accusing everyone involved of hiding pieces of the truth. Every old post, every past interview, every interaction started getting re-examined like it held a clue. And right in the middle of that storm, Teyana Taylor moved again. But this time, it wasn't a statement. It wasn't a post. It was alive. No announcement. No warning. Just a sudden broadcast that pulled in thousands within seconds, and then hundreds of thousands as word spread. And what people saw. It wasn't anger. It wasn't even sadness the way they expected. It was control. The kind of composure that comes after everything has already broken. I didn't want it to come to this, she said, looking straight into the camera. But at some point, silence starts to look like permission. That line alone sent chills through everyone watching. Because now, this wasn't about reacting. This was about reclaiming the narrative. And then, she went further. Not screaming. Not exposing everything at once. But choosing her words carefully. There are things I accepted that I shouldn't have, she continued. And there are things I ignored, because I didn't want to believe what I was seeing. That admission hit harder than anything before it. Because it wasn't just about what was done to her. It was about what she had allowed herself to overlook. And that made it real in a different way. But then, her tone shifted. Slightly. Just enough for people to notice. But what I won't do, she said, pausing for a second, is let my story be rewritten by people who were never honest to begin with. That sentence lit a fire across social media instantly. Because now, it wasn't just about the past. It was about what was being said right now. And who was saying it. And then came the moment that nobody saw coming. Because just as it felt like she was about to log off, a notification popped up on the screen. A comment. Verified. Iman Shumpert. And it was only one line. So now you telling it. The entire live froze. Fans went into instant chaos. Screenshots were taken before people could even process what they were seeing. Comment sections exploded with reactions, theories, and pure shock. Because now, this wasn't separate statements. This wasn't indirect. This was direct. Live. Unfiltered. And Teyana. She saw it. Paused. And for the first time, during the entire live, her expression changed. Not dramatically. But enough. Enough for people watching to feel it. You had your chance, she said quietly. No yelling. No drama. Just a statement that landed heavier than anything loud ever could. And then, she did something that shifted everything again. She reached for her phone. Looked down for a second. And then looked back up at the camera. I wasn't going to play this, she said. But since we're here, that was it. That was the moment. Because everyone watching knew exactly what that meant. Another recording. Something else. Something bigger. And just as she was about to press play, the live cut. Completely. Gone. No explanation. No ending. Nothing. Just silence. And that silence, it was louder than anything that had happened so far. Because now, there's something out there that hasn't been heard yet. Something Teyana was ready to reveal, until that moment. And nobody knows why it stopped. Was it intentional? Was it technical? Or did something happen behind the scenes that forced it to end? Nobody has answers. But everyone has the same question: what was on that audio? Because if everything we've seen so far is just pieces, then whatever she was about to play, that's the full picture. And right now, behind the scenes, everything is shifting. People are going quiet. Posts are being deleted. Moves are being made that the public can't see yet. Because this isn't just about exposure anymore. It's about consequences. Real ones. And the next move. It's going to decide everything. Because whoever speaks next controls the story. The question is, who's ready to say it all? If you think this is where it ends, you're about to miss the biggest part of the story. Because what just happened? That wasn't closure. That wasn't the full truth. That was a glimpse, just a glimpse, of something much deeper that's still unfolding behind the scenes. There is more audio. More receipts. More details that haven't been exposed yet, and when they drop, this entire situation could flip in seconds. Right now, people are choosing sides, but what if nobody has the full story yet? What if the piece Teyana was about to play changes everything? That's why you cannot look away right now. Hit like if you felt that moment when the live cut off, because that wasn't just a glitch. That felt intentional. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Who do you believe? Is Teyana telling the full truth? Is there more we're not seeing? Or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? And most importantly, subscribe right now. Because when that next leak surfaces, and trust me, it will, you need to be here. Not catching up later. Not hearing it secondhand. You need to see it the second it drops. This story is moving fast. Too fast. And the next update, it might be the one that changes everything.